أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم عليه. Once again, welcome to the second podcast show of the Voice Box. This show is a platform for uh, for a Muslim platform, which is essentially to present you challenges and to come how to deal with challenges that we face as a community, essentially Muslim but obviously extended to non-Muslims also. And we bring in people, whether they're scholars, whether they're artists, whether they're professionals in their field, whoever we can learn from, and whoever that can contribute to our mission in terms of enhancing the society and our lives. We seek out those people. And obviously, once again, we've got one of those people with us, who is Sheikh Imran, who is with us again once today. And Assalamu alaikum, bro. How's it going?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Akhl Aziz, I hope you're well. I hope the listeners are well as well, inshallah ta'ala, on this particular platform. Ahlan wa sahlan.
Ahlan wa sahlan. That's what I like to hear, bro. Whenever I hear Ahlan wa sahlan, I always remember this event that took place in the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to Medina, entered into Medina, when the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, he stayed at the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, but there was in history there was a man who tried conquering Medina, and when he was fighting with them, this is years before the Prophet's advent. He at night they camped outside of Medina, and then the people of Medina would send food to that person at night. And he thought, what kind of strange ethics is this? So when he asked to speak a spokesperson in behalf of those people from Medina. And when he asked for them, the person came forward and he said to them, I'm trying to invade, basically conquer your land, and you're here trying to send me food. So what are you doing? He goes, at the end of the day, so he responded that, look, yes, you've come to fight us, but you're still our guest. And we don't want to be bad hosts. So he says, that's amazing. He goes, where do you get these ethics from? He goes, this is the land where the final messenger shall arrive. And, we've inherited these ethics in hope that we're going to one day meet the final messenger in good character. So he said that I want to buy a property for that messenger. So he buys a property and it gets passed down. And that's actually the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari at that time. And but what happens is when they decide to build the masjid, the land belongs to two orphans. And the two orphans are called Kahal and Suhail, which comes from the same root words of Ahlan wa Sahlan.
Ahlan wa sahlan. Ay wa sahlan.
And it's just amazing how those two orphans who and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to buy that land. But remember, this is the first day he's there, and those two people called Kahal and Suhail who own the land. So whenever somebody mentions that Ahlan wa Sahlan, I always think about that. It just comes to me that, subhanAllah. Yeah.
Jazakallah khair. So we're talking about Alhamdulillah on today's program. There are a number of topics and etc. that we are intending to touch on. Bi'iznillahi ta'ala. I know Safa has been, looking into this very, very carefully. What are the needs, requirements of different people? I know we have a number of individuals who've requested certain type of topics. And today's topic, inshallah ta'ala, is something around similar to what we discussed before, but mainly to how to stay focused in these difficult or troubling times, inshallah ta'ala.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd like to just get straight into it in the sense of, Mona Saab, how would you, I mean, what is focus defined as? Um, you know, can the definition of focus change from time to time? So how we define focus as today, could it be, is that the same level of focus, or is that same type of focus that was probably practiced by the people before us, 100, 200, 300 years ago?
Well, if you're looking at the concept of focus itself, naturally we are discussing something which is the state of the self at a particular time, at a particular place. Now, focus itself is, it doesn't matter what time it is, doesn't matter who the people are, but the important thing is that what are you focusing on? Now, I want to take your attention, before I delve into all of this, I want to take your attention towards a particular verse of the Holy Quran al-Kareem, which tells us about the reality of this world. If I could make that the base of this, inshallah, I hope, bismillah, we can talk in more detail about this subject matter and etc., and how to become more focused, or how to become more concentrated on certain issues or concerns in our lives, and remove the distractions, or somehow deal with the distractions in our lives. And the verse of the Quran is from, of course, the Surah Al-Hadid, right? The iron, right? And the verse of the Quran is وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا لَعِبٌ وَلَحْوٌ وَزِينَةٌ وَتَفَاخَرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ وَتَكَاثُرٌ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ إلى الآخر آية القرآن الكريم. Now, I want to start with this because what this particular verse does, which I think is very, very good, is that it focuses our mind about the distractions which we face within this particular world, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala establishes and explains to you and I, by this beautiful revelation of the Holy Quran al-Kareem, that look, the world that you live in, the environment that you live in, is distracting. Know that the life of this world is only play and amusement. Now, of course, the word lahwa can be explained in a little bit more detail. It means diversion. It would mean pastime, sport, or play, or especially that which is frivolous or vain. Something that takes your focus away from what is your main goal, what is your main reason and your purpose, and diverts it. Now, this is the state of the world. Pomp and mutual boasting among you. This is what you're going to do, because this is the state of the world. So we're talking about the sense of distraction. So if we understand that, then go back to the definition of the word focus, regardless of what time, what era, what age it may be, time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or today, now, here. These distractions haven't changed. Some have probably become much more heightened. Problem has become much more prevalent, probably. But the distractions are very similar. So if the distractions are very similar, that means the focus is also similar. If the Prophet ﷺ talked and informed the people of his time, focus, that means that same focus is required in our time and age as well. Hopefully that makes some sense. Inshallah.
Yeah, it does, mashallah. So you see, why do you think people, do you think first and foremost, do you think people actually suffer from focus? Do you think this is something that, why are we talking about this? Why is it that we think this is a subject of discussion that in this day and age that we're living in, that we should be discussing about how to stay focused? I mean, because, whichever study circles that you be part of, or whichever platform that you learn from, I think sometimes you see there's amazing knowledge being distributed, but from the get-go, some people just don't know how to learn. Do you get me? So you can go to a class, and it's an amazing class with an amazing sheikh, yeah, but people, and I'm speaking from my own personal experience in the sense of And for some people who actually have been to universities and stuff like that, they probably have a way of how to, they already understand of how to set themselves and how to, kind of time manage themselves into how to learn how to study. But some people who haven't, they've got to develop those skills. And but it's strange because as you are learning, then you stumble across things, when you stumble across books and texts and stuff, and you think, man, if only knew this when I first started. Yeah. If only I knew this technique when I first started, or if I only knew these ways of how to learn when I first started, that time would have gone a lot more productive. Uh, so, so what do you think? Do you think this is a valid point of discussion first and foremost?
I strongly believe that it is a very valid point of discussion because what we need to understand is we live in times of immense distraction. We live in times where we are distracted every second of our existence, from the notifications of our phones, from the pings on our WhatsApps and our Facebooks and our Twitters and whatever it may, ping pong pang continuously going a bit crazy. Now, all the studies show every ping, every sound of a bell or whatever that we hear, right, which distracts us for that moment, even though it might be for about 10 seconds or it might be for about 5 seconds, but the effects of that stay with us for a longer period of time. So I might be concentrating on something, I might be trying to read or trying to learn or trying to seek. Suddenly, ping. Now, even though I don't want to divert my attention towards it, what has happened is psychologically, right, or unconsciously, what's happened is that my attention has been removed from what I'm concentrating on. Now, imagine this: if there was a time where you didn't have mobile phones, where you didn't have tablets, and you didn't have nowadays you've got watches, okay, which are internet based, etc. You got all of that going on. So there's all of these different sounds. There's different distractions. There's different ways of taking our attention away. Okay. Now, at that time, or go back maybe a number of decades, you probably won't have that. Today, it's all over the place. Every
Mm-hmm.
child, every adult, every elderly person, etc., have something on themselves, in their pockets or on themselves, where they are always pinging. There's always some sort of notification coming up. There's always something that this individual's attention is being taken away, even though they don't desire to, but that few seconds remain within the psyche of that individual for a longer period of time. The impact of that. Now, this needs to be kept in mind. Let me share something with you. I came across something very, very interesting. Last year, 2019, there was a research at the Technical University of Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they suggested that collectively the global attention span is narrowing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we talk about attention span, all right, now that's closely related to what is focus, or the concept of focus, or the lack
Of
of
course, yeah.
focus. All right, so attention, amount of time spent concentrating on a task before becoming distracted. All right, that's what attention span is. So how long is your attention span? How long is the attention span of your elders? How long is the attention span of your child? Right? That they start becoming a bit bored with it, or become distracted and say, oh, something else has attracted their attention, and they've gone towards that. Okay, so this is a study, this is a research done that globally our attention spans have shrunk. Why? Because there's so much around us continuously taking our attention away from the focus of whatever your goal may be. And this is very important to understand, that if this is globally happening, then there's a global phenomena. And what is that global phenomena? Our connection with the technologies in our lives, the type of materials that we have, or type of TVs and radios and phones and tablets and whatever it may be in our existence. What is it doing? It's taking us away from a focal point, whatever that focal point may be, or whatever your desire may be to get to, but you can't get there, or it's very slow, the whole process. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is why I believe it's highly important to talk about and discuss about, and then inshallah ta'ala give some advice around, okay, fine, you have these things in your life, but how do you manage it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with this? You can talk about, look, we're not saying completely let go and salam alaikum and do your own thing. We're not saying that. What we're saying is manage it, time manage it. Focus on certain things at a particular time and leave other things for a particular time. So we'll talk about that inshallah as we approach.
So what do you think the one of the most destructing factors is in this environment that we're living in now?
I believe the most distracting factor, of course, is that we live in times where our whims, our desires, our wishes, our dreams, even those dreams which we can never achieve, are literally a tap away.
Yeah.
Now, the tip-tap-tup, what we do in existence, is always very destructive. Because we are working according to our whims, our desires. Right? And as I started by discussing this, that from the ayah of the Quran, this is the state of the world. Now, the ones who become engrossed into this, their destination is not always a nice one. This is why there are those, of course, who try to somehow, some way, distract themselves from the distractions. And put it like that.
Yeah.
Distract themselves from the distractions, all right? So they get some focus. Okay. So if you look at that, if you keep your mind on that, you start realizing, one minute, I need to do something about this.
But the problem is, there's people who suffer like that, and I still say I suffer from, like, I still get distracted. You know what I mean? And there's this really good book called The Willpower. It's what's it called? Like, it's basically based the power of the power of will, and it just basically, it literally trains you of how to develop focus. It's got a number of techniques, and we'll share some of those techniques, some of them, because the book is quite wide, but we share some of those techniques as well. And but it basically trains you of how to keep a focused mind. But one thing I noticed about myself is that when I was young, my school report always started like this. Always. Safraz is a very bright, intelligent boy, but he gets distracted very easily. That every single report started like that. Always is bright, intelligent, but I got distracted easily. See, my problem is from there. Why? My why is about, why is it that if that was my report, then there was no solution given to me for that? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Okay, my school found out that I was distracted easily, but how did they work with me to fix that? That never happened.
See, you touched on something which is highly crucial and important. In fact, the truth of the matter is, more attention and more concern has been given to this in our time now than it has ever been done before in the past. Okay, look, we could say you probably had. I'm not diagnosing you, but this is just me sharing my professional opinion.
I want to hear this.
Which exists.
I want to hear this live on the air. Yeah, go on.
No, that won't happen. That's not my duty here. I'm not. That's not my area.
No, you could go for it, bro.
No, I love you, but there's no diagnosis here. But the thing is that I don't know if you've come across something called ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
You have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, right? It's a behavioral disorder that includes symptoms such as inactiveness or not having focus. So you go to one thing and then you leave attention, then you go towards somewhere else, you go to something else. This is really prevalent at this moment. At this moment, in this time, we see this in our young children all the time.
But one thing though, what's that considered as? Is that considered as a disability, a lack of, what's it considered? What category does that ADHD come? Is it seen as some type of mental deficiency?
No, it's not deficiency at all. It's to do with behavioral disorder, right?
Okay, so it's seen as a disorder.
Yeah, disorder, yeah. Now, the only reason behind that is because there are certain people who become very hyper. There's an active side to it. There's a very hyperactivity side to it, all right? If certain things don't happen according to their liking and etc., they will act out in a particular way.
You see, I have a problem, like, just on that issue, I just have a problem with this whole type of this society that we live in, especially the system, right?
Yes.
Which always just wants to put you in some type of categorization, to some type of box. ADHD. Why? Because he's hyper and he can't focus properly. The thing is, it's like you're always gonna have a certain number of people that carry similar traits of character, and it's not necessary that those certain character traits are disorders. It's just a type of character. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, of
And
course.
so I'm sorry about it. I just find
No,
that.
no, 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 that's fine. That's fine. Alhamdulillah. I don't disagree with from your perspective what you're saying. If you're gonna close people into a box, all right, then for life, all right, that's exactly the stigma that they're gonna have. I don't disagree with that. All I'm saying is that in the world that we live in, there has sometime we have to um, place some clarity over what's really going on, and then give support and help. Because what tends to happen, it's usually diagnosed between 6 and 12 years old. That's what tends to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of children, a lot of young people, they tend to fall out of this a number of years later, especially when they become adults. You understand? And that becomes part and parcel of their normal, traits, characteristics, and behaviors, which is fine, alhamdulillah. But the only thing, the only reason I'm saying this is that this there is something here. There is something, and it's related to the type of distractions we have. Now, there's a whole study around, and I'm a youth worker. I work in the youth sector for many years. Alhamdulillah, I worked in referrals, all right? And I'll give you a simple example. I came across a young man, a young child, I won't say young child, a young person, at the age of 13 or 14 years old. His attention span was less than a minute. Less than a minute,
Less than a
right?
minute.
Less than a minute, right? So he will
Which is
be
not,
10.
which is not surprising for me in this day and age. To be honest with
Yes.
you.
No, but I'm going back a few years now, and I'm
Okay.
just giving an example of someone that is a case study of an individual that I've had direct, interaction with, and of course I've had others as well. But this is one example of this. All right now, it was very interesting because all the studies, when you look at attention spans, you look at people who are focusing, etc. You look at the age between 2 and 3, the attention span will be between 5 to 6 minutes, and then if it's slightly higher, it'll be about 7 to 10 minutes. One more year on top of that will be maybe 10 to 12 minutes. Then so on, so on, so on, up to 15. When you get to about 15 or 16 years old, then the attention span becomes increased. It comes to about 40 to 45 minutes. Right? And this is why when you look out into the educational field, right, all the educationists say that when you tailor a educational some knowledge or information that you want to relate to these people, especially GCSE students, right? You tailor it according to their attention span, right?
Okay.
Now, of course, there's the whole thing about you break that down, you make it into 20 minutes. If it's really hard task, a difficult task, you break it down into 20 minutes each, which makes it a bit more appealing for them. They can comprehend it, they can, process it in their heart and their mind. There's a whole area of study around this. But the bottom line is this, that you are trying to create focus in them.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to give them knowledge and information. And how do you do that? What is the process for that? Right? Now, of course, when we talk about a few simple strategies that might help, for example, a certain individual, all right, especially in the case we're talking about children, all right, and discussion around children, especially now at the moment we have parents who are stuck behind their doors at home at the moment in time. They've got the children around them. Some have 2 or 3 or 4 children, mashallah. Allah give them barakah, bismillah. But they're really concerned because they're suddenly seeing this very hyperactiveness of the children. The child does one thing, then about a few minutes, about 4 or 5, 6 minutes later, the child goes, I want to do that. Another child goes, I want to do that. I want to do this. So it's made it very complicated and difficult for the parent to deal with what's happening in the home. So one thing I will just put it out there straight away, something that we have done and something I work with all the time, and that all the studies show that bring creativity. Make sure that there is creativity to tasks you don't enjoy, right? To make it fun.
Yeah.
Right? That's an essential part. A kid or a young person who dislikes a certain subject, all right? It has to be made into fun. Okay? Make it creative.
Mm-hmm.
Make it colorful. Make it a bit more, engaging in that particular way. What you will find that the same child, the same person, the same young individual will become much more focused in what you have presented to that child. This is important. Make it a bit more interactive, if I'm going to put it like that, which would work for that young person. Understand? So this is because I'm talking about young people at the moment, and this is an example of that you can give. That for your children at home at this moment, making things a bit more proactive in the sense that more attractive, more creative. You will
Sorry.
find, you will find is that your child will, inshallah ta'ala, become a bit more engaging with what you are trying to present to them. Okay? But at the same time, check. Now this is important. Now this is to our parents. Look, I'm a parent myself, right? This is to our parents. Check in frequently with your child when they're working on hard tasks. Ask them every 5-10 minutes. Is it going well? Is it going fine? Show some interest in your children. Okay? What you will find, the more interest you will show, and your child does this. They draw something, they paint something, they come and show you, Mama, look at this, Papa, look at this. They want your attention. They want your attention. Now, by giving that little bit of attention, what you will do, you will refocus your child in that particular activity, which is highly important. A child, a kid who feels overwhelmed or confused by the project, they're working on it, will check out and get distracted. Their own will check out. They'll get distracted big time. They were like, you know what, I can't bother with this anymore. This is too much for me. But that, again and again, frequently coming back and saying to your child, oh, mashallah, that's really good. Oh, that's going really well. Oh, you've done very well. This continuous engagement with your child, which will really, really help. Okay, and of course, engage with your child at that particular level, which is highly important. And of course, one more thing I want to share with you, which I think is highly important. I've already alluded towards this. Build in short breaks for tough tasks. This is highly important. Now, if you really want your children to be focused, we're talking about focus in times of distraction. We'll talk about the whole philosophical side, and we'll discuss all of that at the same time. But at this moment, within our home, we're stuck in our home, we have our children with us, we have our young people with us, we have our nephew, nieces with us. At this moment in time, what do we do? How do we engage with them? Because we start to realize that because of all these different distractions, how do we focus them? So one more thing I will put to you is this: that build in short breaks for tough tasks. A 12-year-old might be able to give 40 minutes. I've said this before as a focus to a project. But when it's broken down into 20-minute chunks with 5-minute break in between, that will increase the young person's focus in that particular activity. It's managing it correctly. These are practical, ways of engaging people. This is what it is. Keep it fun. Keep it creative, right? Make sure that something that they like, use that. Even though you want to teach them something which may be mathematics, or it might be, some other subject. You're trying to teach them alif bata, or you're trying to teach them Arabic, for example, language, or trying to teach them a basic concept of Islam, or whatever it is that you are teaching them. Do it in a creative way. Do it in a fun way. And what you'll find, their attention and their focus will increase towards that, which is highly, highly important. Right? And then once again, frequently, this is the second way, frequently engage with the activity. Right? If you're giving them something to write, if you're giving them something to, occupy their time, don't just leave it to them 40 minutes, 50 minutes and just no, don't do that. Engage with them. Every 10, 15 minutes, go and see them. Ask them what they're doing, how they're doing. This frequent engagement will increase and keep them interested and increase their focus in that particular activity. And finally, of course, breaking it down. Right? Don't just give them a lump sum of 1 hour, go, I don't want to see you anymore because you're bored. Don't do that. Because what's going to happen is after about 10 minutes, they're going to get distracted. That's what's going to happen. And when that happens, that will become more of a problem for you than breaking it down where the child knows I've got 20 minutes, and in 20 minutes time, I've got a break for 5 minutes. And after that, I'll do another 20 minutes. Okay? So this is highly important in how do you increase the focus of your children at home. And this doesn't have to be educational only. It could be anything in the home. It could be any type of activity that you do, any type of engagement that you do with your children, inshallah ta'ala.
Jazakumullah khair for that. At least we've got a very good insight. Monasab, can you increase your mic input for I think it's a little low.
Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah.
Yeah, it's a lot better. So yeah, because I think there's just a bit of a sound issue. So yeah, so what Molana Saab was saying there was really in terms of from what I've took from you there, Musab, is with kids you got to keep on developing that and you got to keep on checking in with them, and it's something that you can't. So are you telling me? So are you? So is it that you can't? So you can develop your focus.
Yes, of course you can. And what you will realize is that once you start managing your distractions, okay, of course there are some ways of managing this, inshallah, for the rest of us as well, inshallah. But I'm talking at this moment, I'm talking about our children. All right. Once you manage your distractions, that will make you more focused. Okay. Now, the more in the case of your young people, the more engagement you have, the more type of involvement you have, and etc. And the more creative the activity that you make, you will find that their attention, their focus will also increase, inshallah ta'ala. That's what it is. That's what it is.
One thing I've always learned. Okay, so let's just move forward now from kids to adults. In terms of now that we are living in times, and that even for adults, it's still a very distracting uh, time to live. Even though you might think that adults might have more control, like what you were saying was that that there's youngsters that suffer from ADHD, and as that develops, um, as you grow older, your attention span increases. you know, I know people my age that really have problems with attention spans, and they really find it difficult to try to focus. Whether it's on class or whether to read a book or whatever it is, they still suffer from focus. And not only, and then some people, by extension of meaning of focus, I think some people still suffer from in knowing how to manage their time. It's a serious, very big issue in the sense of people really don't know how to manage their time. Like not in the first sense of it. And the thing is, when because I had this issue, and I started a course in time management to help me. And one thing they said in that course was uh, that you have to treat time as money, and you got to see it as that.
Commodity.
Yes, and the thing is that you only have so much of it. Do you get me? Like you can't say yes to everything, and you've got to learn how to use it, and you've got to know that once you've used it, that's something diminished from your possession. So and that's how you got to structure it. If you got £50 or £100 for the day to spend, you're gonna allocate that money and efficiently, so it's productive for you, and how much money you've got. You know how much of that you've got to give out or to spend, and that's how people got to see time. That they've got to really think about. Like some people just pile on, pile on, pile on, pile on, pile on, and they try to multitask, try to do all of these things, and not really give them time for themselves for clarity, and they make a lot more mistakes because of pressure of I've got so much to do in such little time, and because of that, and it's simply because of not being able to schedule whatever the tasks that they've got for themselves for the day or for the week or even for the year. It's not being able to schedule them and allocate that time that they've got, you know, in appropriately and proportionally. Like, this thing of I'm busy. Even I a victim of that. You can say that I am busy, and you can be busy, but the thing is, it's prioritization of time. If somebody says they're too busy for you, I'm sorry about this. If somebody says that I'm too busy for you, what he's actually saying is I prioritize something else in that time. That's in reality, because we all have the same 24 hours in the day. Do you understand? And if I say I want to but I don't have time, no, it's that you don't want to enough. To get me? Because say for instance, I say, you ask me to do something at 6 o'clock, and I say, oh, I really want to, but I'm just busy. No, at 6 o'clock, I'm doing something else. If I'm alive, I'm going to be doing something. Whether it's working, sleeping, chilling, researching, whatever I'm doing, I have prioritized. My 6 o'clock allocation, I have allocated it somewhere. I've given it something, or I've given it to somebody. And that 6 o'clock allocation now, somebody else has asked me to do something now. Now I have to look at that 6 o'clock allocation and think, right, I have to now triage between the two. And then you say, I can't do it at 6 o'clock. And then, but obviously then you look into your diary and say, but the earliest time is this. And so, but, going back to the beginning again is, for adults, I think what people really suffer is time management. They really, you can achieve whatever you want in your life. Honestly, I really do believe that if you just manage your time properly. If you know how to focus on your objective, like tunnel vision, and manage your time properly, you can literally achieve anything you want in your life. Sidq, being sincere. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will deliver to the one who's sincere, even if he's a non-Muslim. Like, sincerity is so high with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that there's no condition of it, not even iman. In the sense of, if a kafir is sincere in attaining dunya, he is sincere, Allah will give it to him because of his sincerity in it. If he is that's it, focused, determined, has all the qualities that he needs to go get that, he will get it. One thing we learned from our teachers is, if you've not got something, it's simply because you didn't want it bad enough. Simple.
Yeah. Where there's a will, there's a way.
And if you're a Muslim, you should have advantage because you got dua. You should have even more. Look at what the non-Muslims have achieved, and how obviously Muslims have achieved a lot. But what I'm saying is, if you look at a non-Muslim and if you marvel at what a non-Muslim has achieved, and obviously we speak about the development of the West and stuff like that in many areas, and if you marvel at their achievement, we Muslims should have quantum leaped that, because we should have the same determination plus dua. And that's why what Muslims can achieve, what we believe as Muslims, is that obviously we've got the facilitation of prayer. We believe that, we have iman in that. That's part of our faith. That you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you ask proper enough, you'll get what hopefully, inshallah, you'll get what you want. So, and look,
Does it Bismillah.
And look at, for me, is that obviously the greatest example is the example of the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look, and the Sahaba, look at the odds they were against. See, non-Muslims can achieve great things, but what the Sahaba achieved was they reached to the maximum capacity of their physical ability, which was a certain amount of success. But then dua made it. When they reached to that point where physically they could no longer do any better. Then, on the battlefield, they're on certain battlefields, and physically now they can't do any better. They can't get any more numbers. It's 10,000 versus 300,000, 200,000, right? And now it's wa Muhammada. Now, see, See, now they've gone from the physically doing their best. Now they're gonna, the transition from their physical, from their best ability physically, they move to spiritually now, and that's when they get massive openings because they've got the advantage of that access to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, to the du'a, and so as Muslims, but you have to push yourself physically first. You have to push yourself physically first. Like, oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No. I was just gonna correlate with what you were saying. That sometime, like you said about time management, if you don't focus on how you allocate certain your day for certain activity, time will flow. You know, time does not stop for nobody. That's a reality of that situation. But there's two sides to this. There are those who are totally idle. The idle mind is the workshop of the shaitan. So the ones who do not focus upon the time structure and they're totally lazy about it, the shaitan occupies them and they become preoccupied with those things which are harmful and hurtful to But ultimately, the question is, what do we want? That's the thing. And in the context of being a believer as a Muslim and etc., our ultimate goal is what? To know our Lord. Man Rabbuk, the question that will be asked in our graves. Who is your Lord? And I hope we are amongst those who say, Rabbi Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. That my Lord is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you have been focused in your daily life. Hopefully, inshallah ta'ala.
So now that Ramadan's coming up, how do you think the best way for people would be to stay focused, and especially this time now, because they're just going to mostly be spending it at home? And the thing is, in Ramadan, the thing is, you're hungry, you're weak. And you know what? I don't know about you, but I find fasting a lot harder when you have to stay at home. When you got to stay home all day. You're spending it at home. What's up?
Yes, I can hear you. Bismillah.
Yeah. So, how about you? When you got to stay home all day, do you find it harder or do you find it better that,
No,
to go?
the way I work personally, so I'm slightly different in the way your mindset is. Right, I keep a particular timetable structure. Now, I'll suggest a few points in how to focus. This is for a general perspective. For example, Ramadan is coming. Let's talk about Ramadan. Ramadan is coming, has a Shahr al-Quran. This is the month of Quran al-Kareem. So that straight away tells you something. That there is something in Shahr that needs to focus, that is going to create focus for you. The first thing that you do, which is highly important, is to focus your mind, your heart, and your body, is turn off notifications. You'll be like, Imam Sahib, you're talking about something else, why have you gone towards? Because our biggest problem is the so-called notifications that we get in our mobile phones, the continuous pings that are happening, and pongs that are happening continuously, that completely diverts our attention towards the focal. Right? So the first thing I would advise people is that regarding your phones, regarding your tablets, regarding whatever means of social structure, social interaction that you have, that it becomes something which is manageable.
Even myself, as soon as, like, for instance, on WhatsApp, you send me a message on WhatsApp, and if it's the first time you send me a message, I have an automated message that goes back to a person and says, WhatsApp is checked once in every 24 hours.
Yes.
But because what we, understand is you should schedule your time to check, like, social media, WhatsApp.
That's right.
And you should filter out all the, rubbish in your life. So look, if somebody really wants to contact you, they can call you, man. Do you get me? If somebody really wants to contact you, you can, if they can't call you, they'll text you.
They'll text you.
Now,
and you're right. Look at this. The important thing is we're trying to make this as practical as possible for our brothers and sisters and our people who are viewers and listeners at this moment in time. That how do you get that focus back in through your ibadat, through Ramadan, through other type of activity that you're going to do this? Because ultimately our focus should be Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Right? Now we're not saying leave the world, tark dunya, and then you become completely with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our deen doesn't say that. We are not people who completely leave the world, and we are not people who completely garke dunya, who completely dive into the world. We have a very clear balance between both of them. Right? We live in the world, we eat in the world, we live in the world, we have wives in the world, we have everything, but our focus is the hereafter. Our focus is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our focus and attention is towards the glory, the pleasure of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. That's what keeps us focused. Right? So to do that, of course, something which is practical. The notifications that you have, manage them. Try to make sure that every ping doesn't give you a boost. Every like doesn't just give you a boost. What's happening is, every single time that happens, it's like the effects are like drug induced. That's what they are. That's what the effects are. That's how the human person feels, especially when it becomes very extreme. So you become addicted to that. So one thing is to manage the notifications that you have around you. We're not saying completely get rid of them, but manage them throughout your day. And like I've said, And you write stuff that, sometimes leave a message, 24 hours, I'll check this or do this, and that will help you. So as a step one, going towards Ramadan, that's something that we can look at straight away. Number two, to focus yourself and to achieve what's required and needed. And especially when you have so much, different troubles and different distractions in life, is very crucial, which we touched on very briefly last time as well, is that establish a daily routine. Establish a good daily routine. Something which is productive. Something which will keep your mind and heart focused. Something that will motivate you to get through the whole day of Ramadan.
So what's your general day? How does it go?
My day, alhamdulillah, I'll get, with the grace of God Almighty, Allah has given me tawfiq, I'll get up for Fajr, alhamdulillah, I'll do my salah, wudu, etc. I will do my salah. I will read Surah Yasin in the morning, inshallah ta'ala, may Allah give me tawfiq to implement that and do that. Then if there's a little bit of time left, I'll probably rest for about 15-20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes or something like this. Then what I try to do my best is that I always have a physical activity. I have that. And alhamdulillah, in the last for the last 3 weeks approximately, myself and my young daughter will wake up early in the morning and we join Joe Wicks every morning. Alhamdulillah, that's exactly what we've been doing. Every single morning for the last 3 weeks.
Maybe well, I was thinking as well, man, that chest is coming out a little there, Those shoulders are popping up there, bro.
No, nothing to do. I'm trying to lose him.
Okay.
And the thing is when the day starts like that, all right, and it focuses your mind. It this endorphin, this positive feeling and chemicals are produced. Now we're enclosed in a very small area, within our homes. Now there has to be some sort of release. And wallahi, in the morning when I do that, especially when you do it with your daughter, when you do it with your children, it's very exciting. Right? It's very engaging. So there's this completely different type of link and connection with her, alhamdulillah, which is built.
And this is regular, this is fixed every day.
Oh yeah, this is fixed, Akhil Aziz. I've made that as one of my focal points, focal rituals, as you would say.
So what if somebody called you and said, listen bro, nashta ho jaye. Chalo, imagine if it wasn't COVID-19, right? Or imagine, somebody rings, distracts you, wants to talk to you, you get a phone call at that moment of time, what would you do?
I'm very, alhamdulillah, with the grace of God Almighty, I do have this with that. Of course, I look at the situation at that time. For example, the situation is someone is it's the nature of my work, really in dire need of something, and I know that can't be postponed, I will give him that time. But the way I will say to him is, my brother, my sister, okay, I understand your situation, your circumstance, inshallah. Can I call you back in about an hour's time where I'm a bit more focused? Okay. And I will be focused with your attention, full attention and talking and discussion with you. Because I also have that in my day where I have allocated as a few hours where it's for others, completely for others. I've done that in my life because I know there are needs and requirements. I know I need to contact certain people, individuals that need my support and help. Okay, so alhamdulillah, I do that. Now, because I have incorporated that into my of time managed it within my structure, I know I'm not, to that person it's like, oh, Imam Sahib's going to specially call me for this thing. No doubt I am going to do that. But in my mind, I have managed that time. Do you understand what I'm saying? So because I've managed that time, inshallah ta'ala, when I give them that time, they know they've got me now. For whatever time that is allocated, I am theirs. Alhamdulillah, my full focus is with them and my full attention is with them. And that's what's required here. So what I do then, let me share this with you. After when I've done Joe Wicks with my daughter, I go for a run. Now, for the last 3-4 weeks now, all I've been doing is no volume.
No, I said wah.
No, Allah give you barakah, inshallah. So what I do is, now it's really weird because I usually I run, here and there and everywhere where my locality is, but I've literally been running in my street, in this continuously. Now some of my neighbors are like, this guy's got loopy, this guy's got mad. Do you know what I mean? But I've got to be able to focus in my head. I've got this thing in my mind and heart is that I've got a particular goal. I went from aches and pains and all of that from, alhamdulillah, for the last 3-4 weeks I've been doing. I don't feel that at this moment. I've increased my running. Okay, so I do it according to time. So I'll do another 40-45 minutes. I will do that. And that's really good. Slow, calm. Not going hard on it, but slow and calm. Once again, that concentrates my mind. It gives me a focus. And when you do an activity, this is another area of discussion, my brother. One of the biggest problems we have today is that we have a sense of short burst. You know, I want to watch a movie. I want to watch a video. 3 minutes. That's it. Done. Assalamu alaikum. Get on. If you want to give me a concept, speak to me about for 30 seconds. That's it. Done. If you want to talk to me something in depth, well, maximum 6 minutes, nothing more. Our problem is that our minds, right, because of that, want a burst, short burst. We're not really achieving anything. We're not really gaining anything. We're not really seeking anything. Right? We're just getting small bursts of information. All right, bang, 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 straight in, and nothing is processing. Nothing is really, regurgitating and working and churning. That's the word, churning within our heart and mind, so it can be regurgitated into something of substance, because we don't give time to it.
And I think that's also because of its mass information. Like now,
it's continuously. That's the type of sound I hear. I'm going to be blunt with you. That's exactly how I feel sometimes. The information that's coming is like, and I'm like, what are they saying? What's going on?
no, it's constant, isn't it? It's constant. You get your Instagram posts. You're getting your Instagram posts, yeah. You're scrolling on the Instagram wall. As soon as you scroll down the Instagram wall, you get a notification that somebody's messaged you on Facebook. You go on Facebook, they've told you to go onto their wall and check up something. You go onto their wall and they're sharing another website link from there. You go and click on that link and that's taking you to their Instagram account, right? And after that, you get a phone call of your mate saying that, listen, check my Snapchat out because I've just put a top snap on. You go on the Snapchat and he's tagged somebody else into the Snapchat. You go into their wall. And then after that, you think, oh, sugar, I'm looking for a job on LinkedIn. You go on LinkedIn, and after you find out that, you know what, the LinkedIn, there's a link there. The link is taking you to YouTube. And then after you watch the YouTube, you like what you watched on YouTube, and they've told you to subscribe to their channel. You subscribe to their channel, you check on the video list, and you're looking for the video that you find. And long before you know it, and guess what? Then you start back again to Facebook, and then you go in the whole round circle again and again, and that information that's processed. The thing is now, the problem now, that before, when you would come across information before, your brain would collect that information in its long-term memory, and you will be able to relocate whatever you've come across. So if you picked a book up before, some years back, before the social media phenomena, for obviously some people don't know if that time existed or not, but we do. We remember that time when there was no social media. We remember the time when we had to remember our boys' phone numbers by heart. Do you get me? You had to go in phone boxes and call them and remember. I knew like 15, 20 mobile numbers. You mean all of my friends and stuff?
Exactly. Look,
right?
I remember where I could sit down and read a whole book. It took me 2-3 days, whatever it was, but I would allocate time to read books.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end, because the thing is, before, that was the only source of learning anyway. That was the most reliable source of learning. Obviously, internet, I can remember that period before internet. People come, we're making ourselves look ancient by saying, we remember a time when there was no internet, bro. I could remember when internet came on the scene, bro, yeah. In school, I was the first one to have internet because my brother was involved into, computer programming a lot. So he had a laptop when I don't think nobody in all of them had a laptop. Yeah, I swear to God, he had a laptop at a time, bro. I think it was Windows, God knows which one. Yeah, I don't think Apple was out then. There was no Apple, right? I think it was only Apple. There was no Mac. An Apple Macintosh. It was a Macintosh. Sorry, the first early bird Macintosh. Yeah, and and we had a 56K modem, and I was the first one to even in school. I was selling CDs, bro. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, we've experienced that time when you can just be like, I've got a book to read. And that's all your life was at that moment in time. No one's going to distract you. If somebody's going to come physically knocking on your door, no one's going to distract you. That's why it had to be. Somebody physically had to come and knock on your door. Yeah? To call you. That's it. Yeah? And now, obviously now, you can be accessed by thousands of people now. You mean? And Millions people can access you if they want to, and but what I was saying was now the issue is that you've got all these distractions coming in. Now if I wanted to read this book, you just read it, and
Let me refocus. Let me refocus on this point. Let's use that word now. Let's refocus on this point. How we can prepare for Ramadan and how we can focus ourselves. Number one, we requested, turn off your notification, manage your notifications. Number two, establish a daily routine. Do it. Establish a daily routine, positive routine, which gives you physical, mental, spiritual enlightenment. Do it. Give time to your kids, give time to your wife, if you're married, give time to your parents, alhamdulillah, and do that. And guess what? Let me share something else with you. Start learning to cook. You'll be like, Imam Sahib, kya bane ho?
yo, relax, bro. What are you trying to say? We need to cook.
Hey,
Listen,
activity.
do you know what that means inside the household, bro? Do you know if I gummed up,
I read the hadith of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam.
sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Salatu wassalam. Hun.
Alright, okay, now you
Hadith
kabud
Rasulullah
me.
alayhi salatu wassalam, right? That Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to partake in domestic duties.
Partake.
He used to I didn't
Partake.
say do it on your own. I didn't say go and cook on your own. I didn't say that, did I? I said we should learn. That's different. He used to domestic activities. He used to mend his own clothes, mend his own shoes, and he used to do all of this. Alayhi salatu wasalam. Today is ajib for us. Alright, oh my God, I'm a man, so I can't be doing this, bro. No, it doesn't work like that, my brother.
No, I wasn't saying that.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
I wasn't saying that. No.
But that's the tradition. That's the goal. That is the example, inshallah. So anyway, that was number two. So establish daily routine. Do it.
No, but can you just tell me why do you need to cook to be able to? Where did cooking come from?
I'll tell you myself. What I've done is that what goes into your body. Of course, we're talking about Ramadan. You won't be cooking at 12 o'clock, would you? Do you know what I'm saying? What goes into your body is it makes you feel positive, right? Now, if you eat well, if you eat good, it will impact your physical, mental, as well as your spiritual.
No, what kind of wife cooks that food for you though?
Jay? No, that's fine. I'm not saying
right.
I'm not saying that the wife can't. I'm not saying
All
what
right,
I'm
okay.
saying is
Sorry, I thought you were meant was.
Sometimes it's nice that you cooked for her.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna cancel the show. Let's cut. We're having audio issues right now.
Listen. Right? So the third thing that I think highly crucial and important in this, after you have established a daily routine and a structure in your system, is rank your tasks. This is highly important. What is important to you? What is significant to you? Right? What we've talked about this. When you want to focus on something, you go after it. In your day, you need to do that. Whatever that is. For me, the physical is important, my salah is important, my Quran is important. Right? And these are crucial things within my day. I need them to live, to breathe, to do what I need to do. These are crucial activities which I have to engage with as a human being, an individual. So I'm ranking my tasks. If the world changes, these are the 3-4 things I will always try my best to implement. You know what I'm saying, bro? Yeah? Then you got number 4, inshallah ta'ala, will be, and I will throw a twist on this, stop multitasking. Reduce the amount of things you and I are juggling. Reduce it. Or manage it correctly. If you really want to do so many things, give them their own due and time. Do that. Look, a simple thing. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's life is a prime example for us. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was focused upon one particular thing. No doubt, he was a merchant, he traveled, he had many other things as well. He had his wives, he had his kids, he had many things. But in every single one, there's one streak that goes through all of his life. And it's only one thing, the rada of Allah. The pleasure of God Almighty. Which is very clear within the tradition of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? So by controlling, to ultimately leave it in the hands of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, it will give you that focus on the true activities that you need to act upon. Stop multitasking. If you, majority of us cannot juggle so many things. And even if we are trying to juggle so many things, our productivity will decrease. That's one thing. And finally, this is the final thing I want to share around this particular issue of how to, especially in Ramadan and etc., what we're going to do. Take time to regenerate. Now you've done the activities, you've done the hard work, you've managed things into place, you've done everything. Now gain raha. Take some ease. Chill out. Relax. Back off. Take some rest. Especially in Ramadan. What's going to happen is your body is going to take you out your body. What is Ramadan? Ramadan is a time to jerk us, move us, right? To completely change everything within our existence in our life. Now, naturally, that will have an adverse effect on the body because we're not used to that type of timetable. Eating at a particular time, sleeping at a particular time, whatever it is. So what that means is that throughout the day, you need to find time where you just relax. Stop. And I'm going to come back to what I said before. The beautiful thing about our deen is this. It gives us that. It's like a already made toolkit, right? Or we have to use the tools in the correct way. That's all we need to do. Salah does that for us. Salah gives us time to recuperate, to revive ourselves. Salah gives us the opportunity to refocus ourselves, right? Let's do it. Bring the times of the Salah into your existence. At the time of Salah, do your Salah, do wudu, do Salah inshallah ta'ala, and after Salah, just sit there. Refocus yourself. Contemplate. Do muraqabah. A different area of discussion here. This is a very spiritual area. You do tasawwur of the ism zati Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just remember him. Just to reflect over that particular point. You know what that will do? That will strengthen your focus. Or, let me share one thing. I remember we were in Cairo. And the rustle and the bustle of Cairo. Cairo, at that time, going back by 10, 12 years now, 18 million people. My brother. And a population at that time, yeah? God knows how much it is now. 18 million people at the time. Rustle, bustle, streets are going crazy, everything. Azan goes. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Everything slows down. And then, there might be those who might be rustled because there are not only Muslims who live there, there are also Christians who live there. So, daily routine will go ahead as normal. But as you enter the masjid, wallahi, and I don't take oath very easily, you enter the masjid, whiteness. When I saw that, it made me realize this is the power of our salah. This is what salah does to us. I might be engaged in commerce. I might be the most highest earner businessman on earth. I might be a person, whatever I am. Suddenly the azan goes, I walk into the masjid, calmness. And then when you and I stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Amro, Allahu Akbar. When we say that, what happens to us? It puts us back into our correct place. It focuses our mind. Who are you? An abid. I'm a worshipper. Who are you worshipping to? My Lord. He is the great owner. He is the greatest businessman. He is, no man, Nawazbillah. You know, the one who cherishes, who provides for me. He is the one who is khairul raziqeen. I'm nothing. Focus. This is the beauty. So you can have 1,001 distractions going on. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Suddenly, Hayya ala salah. No more salah. Let's come towards salah. Hayya ala al-falah. Eh, bro?
MashaAllah.
That's the focus, man. That's the focus.
If you now you just killed it there, bro. You just killed it. Now what can I say, man? You mean you left nothing for me to say? No, mashallah. I think.
Well, let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this. Like, bro, look, I'm saying this, right? Now, a lot of brothers, a lot of sisters, they might be like, you know what, I'm namaz nahi padni. Namaz mein kya karsi? Right? There might be people like that. They might be like, look, this doesn't work for me. That's fine. But how would you say, you meet people who say, okay, deen for me is just a name, bro. I'm really not going to do that.
Bro, I have people say to me, Saf, listen, we all know we're going to die. Just let's not go religious on this one. Honest to God, I was part of a podcast. Someone else's podcast. I come onto their platform. And you know what? I have to get back into that swing now. You know what happened to me, basically, yeah, is that obviously I studied for a certain amount of time. And then whenever I spoke from the context of Islam and stuff. But then I stopped studying and I stopped teaching. I stopped everything. Because like I said, I had to focus on my business. Come to a point where I set my business up and I said, 24 pictures. And I thought, right, okay, I'm only going to focus on this now. So I stopped everything else. Everything. Yeah. Obviously, except my fara'id and stuff. And, certain zikr daily. That's it. And I just would revise my whatever I learned probably once a week. Just go through some books, and that's about it. But my focus was totally on my work, yeah. And for 2.5 years, that's how it was, almost to 3 years. And then in this last year, I was transitioning from that third, because I said to myself, 2 years, I'm gonna stay focused. 2 years, yeah. And I intentionally did everything. And to be honest with you, that was also the advice of my teachers, because my teachers told me to look, Saf, a business will be good for you if it serves you in the future. But it will only serve you if you graft hard now and set it in a way where it can do that for you. So set it up. They told me, look, don't come classes, don't do nothing, just set your business up, because obviously the business that I do can help my teachers as well in terms of filming and all that stuff. So this could be good. So for 2.5 years, and then I got back into it. I got back into now, which is now the fresh year for me, and that's why I'm just getting more active now. Bite-size madrasa and classes and all that stuff. I'm just getting straight back into it and just getting back into all my books and everything. Inshallah, I'm planning to go away to study Arabic and everything. And but my so recently I've gone back into that phase. So when I was in that 2.5 year phase, I would hardly refer back to the deen. In discussions and stuff, I would more refer back to Western research and stuff like that. And now subconsciously, everything that I say now, I want to back it up by seerah. I want to back you up by the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want to back you up by a hadith. I want to back you up by an understanding of verse from the Quran. Even, and I know this is slightly off topic, but even like the other day I was just reading up on the solar system, and I was reading up on the sun. It's called Open University or something online, and you can take free courses and stuff. So I sat coursing on the solar system. So I was reading up on the sun, and it was explaining, and it's interesting how it was explaining how the sun orbits differently from it rotates differently from the earth. As the earth it rotates as a whole. In 24 hours it does one complete rotation, but the sun, it rotates at different paces at different parts of the sun. So the top end rotates at different pace than the middle and then the bottom. And I think the top end takes like 24 days and the middle takes about 35 days for a one complete rotation. So and I was like, subhanallah. I was like, that must be in the Quran somewhere. Like everything for me has got to go back to there now. Like any information I get, I've got to corroborate that with the Quran. Most people, it's the other way around. Well, not most people, because I don't know. I'm not doing a poll or anything. But a lot of people, you tell them something, subhanallah, bro. And then if you throw in a scientific evidence behind it, oh, eureka. It must be true then. Where people, for them, a scientific, invention or a research will corroborate what the Quran is saying or what the Hadith is saying. But it shouldn't be like that. For us, the source of truth is the Quran and Sunnah. That's it. And everything else that doesn't match up to that is false, basically. So
No, bro, let me jump in. You're right. You know, this is the thing. We're talking about focus. You know, you just said your focus in life has changed. Your focus now is Allah, Allah, Rasul, Quran. Right?
I mean, I don't know. That's a big claim. That's a very big claim. I mean, I want it to be.
No, bro. Just hear me out. Look, what I'm trying to say is, you're trying, like we all do, right? This is. We are rewarded for our effort. This is the beauty of our deen, right? Now look at this. People, everyone who's here at this moment in time, and we're discussing this and conversing, talking about this. Naturally, there are certain things we can embed in our existence, right? Because we have something which we focus on, something that's good to us, something that we like. Now, for some people, that's money. For some people, it's status. Some people, it's name and fame. So what they will do is, everything that they do is surrounded by that focal point.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But if that focal point itself is not positive, it's overbearing, it's consuming, right? Look, it eats you away.
Yeah.
And something which is generally that thing which you cannot achieve. Look, in the realm of amongst the Sufiya, and especially when you look at the whole tradition of dunya, deen and dunya, right? The world and our religion, our faith, it has always said, you will be running and the dunya will run away from you.
That's the literal meaning of dunya. That
It is.
the literal meaning of dunya is the grapes that you can't reach.
You cannot.
You know, the grapes that you can't reach. That's where the. That's where
That's
the.
right. So if we refocused ourselves, adjusted our mind and our heart, and say, 1 minute, this is something I can't achieve. Stop running. And the amazing thing is, once you and I stop running and adjust our mind to focus on something which, when we run towards, it runs towards us. And what am I talking about? Sahih hadith of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, my brother. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the one who remembers me, I remember him alone. The one who remembers me, how? In a group, I remember them in a group. Taken. The one who walks towards me, I run towards him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we focused ourselves on that goal, when we run after him, he runs towards us. He doesn't run away. He runs towards us. And who is Allah? Allah is Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, the owner of all wealth, the owner of all sustenance, the owner of all the worlds. If Allah becomes ours, we could try. I'm not saying, whatever, Imran, what you're saying, have you achieved that, what you get? I'm not saying that. I am on the same path, bro. I am on the same path. I get up, I try my best, I fall, I hurt myself, I get up again, I try to check myself down, I walk again. It's not an easy path, bro. It is a hard path. But at least I'm running towards that which I know will run towards me. Whereas this, you just defined it. Bunch of grapes, and you can't even grab them. We need to readjust this. We need to refocus ourselves on something that works for us. And I think, one of the questions that has come forward around talk about setting a schedule for yourselves. Ramadan is coming, guys. Ramadan is here. Schedule yourself. Put something down on paper. The 4-5 points that we have discussed, inshallah ta'ala, review them. Inshallah ta'ala, bring them. We need to bring them into ourselves, inshallah ta'ala.
Well, I would like to contribute in the sense of, trying to schedule that. It's very, very important, like you said, Mozab, to write it down. Look, you in business, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, trade this world for the hereafter. Like meaning give this world in to attain the hereafter. But in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word trade.
Yes.
Yeah,
Transaction. Agreed.
to do a transaction. So for me, that really speaks to me, because obviously, I run my own business, and I enjoy the business part of business. I enjoy it. So for me, that says, okay, subhanallah, how do we do business? And what my point is in terms of time management is, I've tried to really look, because I was one of those people, and I'm still trying to, better myself, improve myself in terms of, believe me, I needed time management. I used to get distracted very easily. I had no time management skills. Some people think, or some people have it, some people don't. No, it's not that. Time management is for people that are bad at time management. Do you get me? And it's for you. It's not for people who are naturally good at it. They probably don't need time management. It's like, look at our parents, look at our ancestors. They didn't have Google Calendar and scheduling and meeting. They were just efficient. Efficient. One thing after another. Get it done. Get it started. Get it finished. You were just efficient. mashallah, look what they achieved in their life. You think these people who set up these mosques use Google Calendar? Do you get me? All these massages that are established and all these madaris, that are set. They just got it done. They just get on with it. They don't have phones. They don't have internet. They don't have research. They're just efficient. However, we're living in a different time where people are different metal. We are the people of different metal. So we got to take. I really understood that when I set up this business, I really knew that, look, I have no time management skills. I have zero time, because I used to always work for my, I worked for my own family business, and it was just simply as getting up, going to work, and coming home, and then going class, and then after class I just revise my work, my class, and every day was the same for me. And they're like, class, whatever revision you have to do, go out, chill with the boys. But when this is the beauty of running your own business, man. It just improves it, enhances you in so many ways. And when I set up this business of mine, I understood that, I have zero time management skills. Zero. So I sat this kid, and until this time now, I still improve on that. So what I learned in this whole entire period, in this journey of mine, was first and foremost, admit you got bad time management skills. Right? Start off from there. It's a good start. Yeah? It's an awesome start. 2, right? Set up a Google Calendar. Yeah? Or set up a calendar. Set up a calendar of any platform that you will stick with, regardless. Yeah? And I'm using different sources of different ideas from different sources. I've read a number of books, and I've just kind of collated my own thing. First and foremost, actually, before anything else, get a pen and paper, write down what you want to achieve in this next period of time. There's a book called The 12-Week Year. Excellent book, right? It talks about you should measure your year in 12 weeks. Because if you focus on something for 12 weeks, you will achieve in 12 weeks what normally people achieve in a year, if they're lucky. And you will achieve a lot more in a year than most people achieve in 10 years. And there's another book I read called The One Thing. And it only speaks about focusing on one thing, having one goal. Have one goal. Forget everything else. All this cloud of mass information that you're getting bombarded with. Like you get bombarded with, advertisements. Do you want to set up an online business? And then you get bombarded with, emails of, are you thinking of going self-employed? Or then you get bombarded with, have you ever thought about investing in stock? You know what I mean? Then you get bombarded with, do you want to start online reading? Do you want to start, say, online courses? Do you want to start a madrasa? Yeah? Do you want to join a madrasa? Do you want to start learning deen? Do you want to start buying and selling clothes? Do you want to? And all these, now we just getting bombarded constantly with people's ideas and whatever expressions that they've got. And we think, yeah, that's good for me. That's good for me. That's good for me. And then you suffer from the thing called paralysis analysis. Where you, analyze so much, you don't do anything.
Yes.
You don't do anything. And that's what you got to save yourself from. And the way to save yourself from that is tunnel vision. Tunnel vision. I mean, like, horses, in horses, the reason why horses have the side blinders, yeah, is because when they're running, they don't get distracted by the side horses. Because once they're running, and if they realize there's a horse next to them, they'll distracted and they'll fall over whilst they're racing, when they're racing. So you have to be this tunnel vision. You just got to be like, and the write down in this next period of your life. For me, it's always 12 weeks. Because I've gone with 12 weeks. You get different theories. You get 7 weeks, 12 weeks. I like 12 weeks. It's a quarter of the year. You know what I mean? It works out nice.
There's also, if I may throw in, an act which is done for 40 days. It becomes part of your build-up and makeup. I always give that example on the basis of Ramadan coming. Now, Ramadan is 30 days. Usually we keep fasting, etc. Some of us who have habit in Shaban, and then we also keep the 6th of Shawwal after Eid. Of course, on the day of Eid is haram to keep any fast. Now, altogether, if you calculate it, it does come to about 40 days. Now, of course, there's a particular structure that you've abided by, which is about 12 weeks and etc., which works for you, alhamdulillah. But there's a lot of studies around the 40 days side as well. Now, we have the opportunity now. We're not talking about tomorrow. We're not talking about 5 years later. We're talking about now. And let me share something with yourself. I don't know if you're familiar with something called mindfulness.
Yeah.
Now, mindfulness, the quality or state of being conscious and conscious of or aware of something, and more specifically, a mental state. It's a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment. Keeping in mind, right? Acknowledging feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. Mindfulness. Here and now. How do I do this? How do I achieve this? How do I gain this? How do I better myself? How do I increase my relationship with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala? How do I make my relationship better with my neighbors? How do I make my relationship better with my mom, with my dad, with my wife, with my children? How do I do that? This is a mindset. This is being given to us, bro.
So, Jazakumullah khair. So, mindfulness, for those that, wanted to give it a bit more, is being present. Just being present in the moment and just getting rid of all the noise that's in your mind, it's in your heart, just focusing on one thing. So, as I was saying, also, so the first thing is to write it down and then plan out you can write 3 goals. Write 3 things you want to achieve in the next, I'm going to say 12 weeks. In the next 12 weeks, write 3 things that you want to achieve in the next. And what this says is, actually write 3 things. Write down your best case scenario in how you want to be in 10 years' time. You see, look, Ramadan's coming. People think about, let's focus on Ramadan. Then Ramadan ke baad hai. What about after Ramadan? What about Dhul Hijjah? What about Dhul Qa'dah? What about, Muharram? What about, Rajab after that? What about Sha'ban after that? After that, what about next Ramadan? What are you going to do this Ramadan to prepare for your next Ramadan? And next Ramadan should prepare you for the next Ramadan. What are you going to do in this Ramadan that will make your next Dhul Hijjah better than last year's Dhul Hijjah? What about your Rabi al-Awwal? What happened this Rabi al-Awwal that's going to be less better than your coming Rabi al-Awwal? Your relationship with the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Allah, see, deen can become clutter if you don't have a plan. It could just become clutter. Ata ek bana na drushi paro. Ata ek bana ilm sikho. Ata ek bana भाजी मस्जिद आए सुबह जिक्र करने वाला है या एक दूसरा ना give charity, and the other one says no, you gotta be good to your neighbors, and the other one says no, you gotta dress properly, brother, you're a Muslim, you gotta represent Islam. Yeah, the other person said, look, you gotta have good character with the non-Muslims, go out there. The other one said, listen, if you don't work, Hazrat Umar said radiallahu an, Allah is more pleased with the one who works, so let's go to work. The other one said, listen, let's go jihad fi sabilillah. So whatever, I'm saying there's so many paths to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that a person can think, where shall I go? You mean? So the truth is, you have to write down where do you see yourself spiritually in 10 years time. You don't know if you're going to live in 10 years time or not. You don't know. You don't know about life. Could be over now. But إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. What's your niyyah? What would, in the sense of, when you say, what is your ideal personality spiritually, rationally, and physically? Write it down. So in 10 years' time, if you were, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, could be anything. What will be the ideal state that you would want to be in spiritually? Do you get me? What will be the ideal state? I want to be a person who is teaching his own children, and a person who's dedicated a lot of time for in Quran and zikr. No, be bit more specific. That you want to be a person who wakes up in the morning, spends a good amount of time in zikr, and then in knowledge and whatever. If you might be retired. Do you get me? I want to be a retired person who's doing this much amount in deen. You could be a person who's really passionate about charity work. You mean? Write it down. Be as creative and as unrealistic as possible. Just think about where you would want to be. No, remember, don't think that you think you'll be. That's not what we're asking. Where would you want to be? What's your want? If you were given one dua now, that Ya Allah, this is how I want to be. Write that down. Because it's not hard for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you what you want. If it's pure, if it's good. Yeah? And so write it down. Okay, now 10 years time, write down. Okay, you've written how you're going to be financially. How you think you would want to be financially. How you would want to be. Not everybody wants to be rich, bro. Some people just want to earn an X amount, and then that much amount will allow them to live the life that they want to live. They say 40,000 a year can allow a man to live comfortably, very comfortably. Like, you don't really, basically, if you, like what they said, there's a research done that, like, if you earn more than 40,000, you live the same, but just enhanced. So you're still going on holidays, but one is going on a private jet and one's just going on a jet, on a normal, you know what I mean? So you're still enjoying your time with your kids, but, you're not got if you're the millionaire, you'll have a Ferrari, and if you just earning 40,000 a year, you'll have a decent, nice car. But you're still getting A to B comfortably. Without problem. You know what I mean? So anyway, write that down where you would want to be, how you think you'll be financially, spiritually, and rationally, mentally, in terms of knowledge. And then think about, for you to achieve that in 10 years, where do you have to be in 3 years? Spiritually, physically, and mentally, and financially. Where do you have to be? So what has to be done? So if you've, in 3 years, for you to get there in 10 years. And then from 3 years, what has to be done in 1 year? And then in 1 year, what has to be done in 3 months? Go backwards from what your ideal lifestyle that you want to live. And as a Muslim, it must entail deen. It must entail religion. It must entail Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has to. That's the purpose why you were created. You and I were created. You mean whatever, if you're fully focused in business out, how do you want your business to serve you? Some people say, I want to get into religion. I don't have time to run my business. Okay, it's your business. What's the ideal business for you? How do you want to be at the end of your life? How do you want to leave this earth? How do you want to leave? Do you want to leave in ibadah, or do you want to leave attaining this? You mean? So anyway, and write it down. Write down each stage backwards from your primary, from your optimal standard of life that you want to live, go backwards 3 years, 1 year, 3 months. And then you plan weekly to achieve that 3-month goal. Once you plan weekly to achieve that 3-month goal, after 3 months, you set new goals for another 3 months. And you see where you're at, and you readjust, and you make another 3-month goal. So that's in terms of long-term having vision. You have to have vision in life. Don't think, the religion doesn't require that. The religion you have to have himmah. There's a thing called aspiration in religion. People forget that. You have to have himmah. You have to have this aspiration. And remember, there's 2 types of himmah. There's 2 types of aspiration. Himmatul aliyah and himmatul daniyah. The lowly aspiration is still aspiration, but it's for the sake of dunya. It's the sake of wealth. It's the sake of attainment. And it is not necessarily a bad thing. You want to be financially well. It's not necessarily a bad thing if you got good intentions with that wealth. But remember, the people with dunya, they say even Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam, one of the greatest prophets, will be the last to enter into paradise from all the prophets. From all the prophets, he'll be the last to enter into paradise. Why? Because he had dunya. Because of the dunya. The Sahaba, I forgot his name, the Sahaba that he was gifted with wealth. He was the one that said, if I turned a rock over, I have so much faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I turned over the stone, I'm sure I'll find gold beneath it. That he was blessed with so much wealth. That when he left Makkah, he had all his wealth with him. And the Qurayshis go, listen, you can't take that with us. You took this here. And he said, you know what? Take all of this. He goes, take all of this. He goes, if you follow me, my arrow will reach you before you reach me. He goes, take all the wealth. He goes, I don't need any of the wealth. Right? So when he got into Medina, the Ansar wanted to split half their stuff with him. And he said, listen, keep your wealth. Just show me one thing. Where's the market? And he became one of the richest Sahabas within a year, again, from everybody in Medina. They say he's going to be the last Sahaba into paradise. From the Sahaba. From the Sahaba. Because why? Because of dunya. That dunya, that's why the Prophet ﷺ, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. That's why he is the one upon tremendous character. Because he was offered it and he didn't take it. And there's the reason why he didn't take it. So, it's himmatul daniyah, it's a lower aspiration. And that's where you have aspiration, but it's a lower one. Himmatul aliyah, the high aspiration, is what you gain for this, what you try to attain for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That when you have that aspiration, that's when the hadith applies, that when a man walks in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to attain knowledge, everything he walks past by prays for that individual. From even the birds in the heavens and the fish in the sea. And when the Prophet ﷺ says something like that, when he's speaking comparisonly. So when he's saying the birds in the heavens and skies and the fish in the sea, what the Prophet ﷺ is saying is everything between them is praying for that individual. Where literally the universe will move out its way for you in your pursuit of whatever you're pursuing. It will move out of its way. Look at the Sahaba. They get to oceans, they get to rivers, they get to wells. We're not going to go around it. We're walking over it. We are walking over it. You know what I mean? And they're talking. And not even that, they even their horses, even whatever they're in contact with, becomes part of that. Whatever, that nisbat, association of them, whatever there is contact with them, becomes with blessed like that. So they're walking with horses, and they said the hooves of the horses doesn't touch the water. What is that? That's himmah. That's himmah. When you've got the full belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the universe will move out of its way for you. There's nothing that can stop you. So having that aspiration, you have to have it, but make sure as a Muslim, you have got that intention is for Allah. It's not for anyone else. You do it for Allah, it will happen inshallah. So you plan after 3 months, you plan weekly, and then weekly you plan daily. You have somebody, you have a coach that every week you have a meeting with this coach. You pick a friend, you pick an associate, you pick someone, you ring Maulana Sahab, and he said, Maulana Sahab, every week, sorry Maulana Sahab, just throw you in like that, yeah? Every week, I just need somebody to assess me where I'm at. I've told you what I wanted to achieve this week, and this is what I've achieved, and this is what I've not achieved. And it's not about somebody saying to you, oh, why didn't you do that? You just know, okay, why didn't I? Okay, I didn't get this. Why I didn't do this? Okay, write down why you didn't do it. Were you lazy? Did you go out? Did you go chill out? Were you on the phone too much? Were you on the social media too much? What needs to be adjusted for you the following week to adjust again? You have to, step by step, incrementally work towards your goal. You have to. Yeah? And you will learn new things about yourself. And even if you don't achieve those goals at the end of the 3 months, it doesn't matter. Because what matters is you're in a position of state of progress. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr. Listen, if you, what Allah Ta'ala says, if you just let yourself go, just let yourself be, innal insana lafi khusr. Indeed, man is in loss. We're going, by remote, we are in decline. By remote, we are going down the hill. Illa alladhina amanu, except for those who believe. Wa amilu salihat, wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. If you just believe, work, do physical actions towards that, that is expressed from your belief, and then in that process, stay firm, be on the truth, have a pure intention, and then within that journey, you're gonna come across obstacles. Be patient with it. That's it. Allah is with you. So every week, have a coach, have that coach meeting. Then after that, but once every week, schedule that week, and obviously every other week that's coming in, use a calendar. I can't express it much. Use a calendar on your day off. Plan. If you don't plan, then plan to fail. That's what they say. If you do not plan, then plan to fail. Use a calendar. Scheduling. If you're going to do nothing, scheduling, doing nothing. You mean?
Let me share this with you. According to Allah Ta'ala, He has planned and He has scheduled something for you and I. As-salatul mi'rajul mu'min. Salah is the ascension of the believer. We've talked about focus. We talked about a reconnection with ourselves and our Rabb Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continuously. Saf has made it very clear here. Schedule yourself. 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, 3 months, a week, daily. Do it. Wallahi, that will have immense benefit. And bringing within that daily routine, slowly but surely, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of your prayers. You will see the difference. Wallahi, you will see the difference. The schedule that you will create on a daily basis will give you the achievement that you want after 10 years. It'll do it. But you got to plan, and you got to plan now, and make sure that within your plan, your focal point is your Lord Himself, inshallah ta'ala.
I think that's enough said on this topic, Maulana Saab, from me. If there's anything you want to conclude with, inshallah, if that wasn't already it. I think we've covered techniques, we've given advice, we've given objectives. See, if you don't have an objective, you have no goal. And if you don't have a goal, you have no direction. Don't think this Sufi way, like this, thinking that it's a Sufi way just to think, I'm just going to get up and, I'm just going to take it as it comes. When Mawlana says, be a person in the moment, be in the moment. Remember, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he planned. He had a genius mindset. But, the Sahabas, they planned. These are people who had a vision. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did he say to Abu Talib? Give me one word and I will give you the keys. You will have the palaces of Sham, the keys in your hands. It's a plan. وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهِ. Allah plans and they plan. And Allah is the best of planners. And we all are going in accordance to a plan. Yes, the faith element comes into it. Whatever Remember, whatever comes to you is going to come to you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can't change that. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. You can't change that. But that doesn't mean, you know, that will happen to increase you in your faith. When you've got a plan and Allah will interrupt your plan with His plan, that's why you say Alhamdulillah. Because Allah has planned better for you. If you've made the intention for the sake of Allah and you're in pursuit of that, and it goes some other way, that's part of life, that's part of growing, that's part of adjusting, and that's how you gotta be. And but anyway, that's all. So we've covered these points, tips, ideas. We've mentioned a few books to read. And I have, The Willpower Instinct is a very good book. Focus is called Focus. It's a very good book. The 12-week year. That's a very good book. It actually comes with packages as well. Work booklets. The One Thing, that's a very good book. Obviously, look Imam al-Ghazali. If you're gonna want, because in Islamic texts, I will give Bidayatul Hidayah. The beginning of guidance, and it's an excellent book. And what I would say is best off you study that with a teacher, because the teacher will give it you incrementally of what's best for you. And but these are recommended books. If Sheikh wants to recommend any, or he's given enough advice. Remember, the thing is, we've given you whatever you need to hear. Now it's just about setting off on that journey and then doing your own research on top of that. Sheikh,
inshallah, for next time, bi'iznillah, those of you who are listening at this moment in time and engage with us on different platforms, please, we humbly request that you suggest different topics and etc. Inshallah ta'ala. Our whole aim is to provide something, of course, there's an essence of entertainment as well, inshallah ta'ala, but at the same time of knowledge, understanding, engagement, inshallah. And let me be clear, Saf and I, both of us are very clear about this. What we're sharing with you, we implement on ourselves first and foremost. May Allah give us tawfiq to follow on this as best as we can. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.